Are live. Good morning, crypto warriors. Welcome back to Gem into the Crypto, episode 1124. Today is Thursday, July 27, 2023, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday, usually at 10ish. As of late, it's been a little 9ish. Again, I have early days right now. I'm on set and doing all that good stuff, but I want to make sure I get this crypto news out. So I'm just waking up earlier, getting it started. Shout out to LA. We finally have summer. Summer has officially commenced in LA the last few days. So I'm excited about that. Top stories of the day. We actually have a lot of top stories, but I'm going to be briefly covering these stories today. Crypto bills passed Congressional committee in huge win for U.S. crypto. EOS Foundation is sued Block.one for alleged failure to honor $1 billion commitment. Meta sinks $3.7 billion in metaverse money pit as CEO eyes threads user retention. UFO hearing, crypto degen spare no time crafting 50 alien shitcoins. Binance launches AI-powered NFT generator for KYC verified users. Netflix eyes AI amid Hollywood strike, offers high-paying AI positions. And last but not least, Robert Kennedy Jr. Reveals buying 2 Bitcoin for each of his 7 children. But first and foremost, of course, we're going to be taking a quick look at these prices. What's going on with the prices, man? What's up with Bitcoin? So what's the price today, man? Have you seen Bitcoin? Have you seen Bcash? That's the questions I get all day, every day, via text message, phone call, and everything else. Now for the last 6 or 7 years, it's crazy. All right, prices though. Bitcoin coming in hot, $29,467, up 0.67%. Ethereum, $1,875, up 0.97%. Ripple at 4 at 71 cents, up 1.95%. Number 8, Cardano at 30 cents, up 2.07%. Number 9, Solana at 25.28, up 3.23%. And Tron at 8 cents, up 1.12%. And the trending tokens are WorldCoin. Looks like WorldCoin is going through some things. Not sure if you all are seeing the stories, but it looks as though 2 things. The adoption has slowed down as people realize you need to actually scan your iris, your eye, to become part of the program. Then secondly, it looks like where they initially got a lot of their users from were in countries that had shit data privacy laws, essentially, and data laws. So they were going into these smaller countries or underdeveloped countries to get essentially signups and people on the WorldCoin train, just so when they actually roll it out to the world at large, it looks like they have a lot of signups, but that may not actually be the case to say. Kiki, do you love me? Whoever Kiki is, they're up 27.88%. And then Caspa is back trending as well. Fear and Greed Index is still at a 52. Bitcoin dominance 48.3%. Ethereum at a full 19%. I think it was actually at 18 something last week. So pretty good on Ethereum. All right, give me some quick shout outs. Say what's up to everyone in the chat. Like I said, there's a lot of stories, so I'm about to get rolling. BK, Crypto Lord, Better Understanding, Wisdom Bars, Patrick, PFC Wills, Crypto City. Hey, Trek, that story about Netflix AI is for you. That's the only reason why I brought it up, because we were just talking about it on your stream. And no, it's not about to be an hour show. It's about to be a 15, 16-minute show because I have to run. That's why I'm going to try to cover everything. Janine, what's going on? 64 ECG. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, so tomorrow will be 10 a.m. for sure. It's going to be 10 a.m. tomorrow. It's just these last couple of days I've been having to leave a little earlier, and I want to make sure I get the show done. All right, let's get into it. A lot of stories to cover. I'll be taking peeks at the comments, so feel free to leave comments per usual. Let's get this discussion going in the chat. Man, you know I'm about to be a negative Nancy today. Starting off the show, crypto bills passed Congressional committee in huge win for U.S. crypto. I wholeheartedly disagree. I disagree. And don't forget who you heard it from first, and probably the only place you're going to hear it from. I am telling you, this is a very, 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 very bad mistake the industry is making. Brian Armstrong from freaking Coinbase is telling Americans to go talk to the representatives and have them vote on these crypto bills one way or other. Here's the thing, Brian Armstrong, I think it's time for us to admit Coinbase also does not, Brian Armstrong specifically, while they might have done a great job at being the first mover as far as the huge exchanges being regulated, they're even done a great job at just making a lot of money, right? If we were just here to make money, they did their job. But as far as the future of the industry, the laws, the bills, crypto in general, Bitcoin in general, you do not want Brian Armstrong and Coinbase leading the way. As good as they've done it through treacherous ways, believe me. So just because they made a lot of money, they were once valued at $100 billion, which we all said this is like overvalued by $80 billion, which it turned out to be true. They're overvalued by $90 billion, right? The price point dipped 97% since their all-time high on the stock market. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's doing. You need more examples? Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, thought they could play ball with the regulators. All of a sudden, they weren't allowed to do a lending program. They were told publicly by the SEC, you will not do a lending program. All right, fast forward. Then they come out, SEC as a reason, saying, hey, we never gave these guys our blessing. We just said they could be publicly traded, which makes no sense from an SEC point of view. You're supposed to be a regulator for the public, protect the public, you claim to say, but you allow a company to be publicly traded and then come back around and say we never gave them a blessing, that they weren't committing any in violation of any regulatory I guess rules or whatever, right? So again, that's about 2 or 3 different times the overvaluing of Coinbase, essentially them fumbling the bag, or at least some of them. Brian Armstrong didn't. You got them being at odds with the SEC over lending program, and then them being at odds with the SEC in general as far as if they're actually regulatory compliant or not. My point is, you shouldn't be listening to Brian Armstrong and Coinbase once again talk about these laws. So as he urges people to talk to the representatives to vote for these laws, I want to quickly show you why this is a bad thing. For one, the United States, like any major government who has a lot of power, doesn't make overnight moves. They make moves for the next 50 to 100 years. I keep telling you this. So right now, all of a sudden, now that this regulatory bills have passed through Congress, they got you. Now they got your ass. Now we have agreed to play their game. And while these first 2 bills are okay, they're not that great, honestly. While they're okay, all it's going to do is set up the long con. In the next 4 to 6 years, when the next regime comes in, they're going to be like, oh, let's just turn this off. Let's just switch it. Like, it's that simple. We've already had them believing they need us as a regulatory body, as a government, to do this crypto thing for them, even though it's supposed to be peer-to-peer. They have come to us. They need us, and we're going to do it, and it's going to get worse. They're going to tax us more. They're going to take more control. So I just want to put that out there. I think this was a very bad move to happen. We should have kept fighting. We should have kept staying in the gray lines where there was no clarity or certainty, because at least then it was the actual fight. To me, this fight's about to be over, and it's not going to be good for the industry. 2 crypto regulatory bills have been passed by the U.S. House Financial Services Committee that could finally provide some much needed regulatory clarity. I guess it does do that. The United States House panel has approved a pair of bills that, again, could finally deliver some regulatory clarity to crypto firms, including clarifying the differences in jurisdiction between the U.S. securities and commodities regulators. To me, that is all these bills did. All these bills did was clarify the difference of who gets their taste. They are saying if a project's this way, the SEC is going to get the money. They're going to get their taste. If the project's this way, then the CFTC is going to get their money. They're going to get their taste. All it did for the government is decide which gang lord pimp was going to be pimping us in this market. That's all these bills did, is tell us who our pimps were. On July 26th, the majority of U.S. lawmakers voted in favor for the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act, as well as the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act. Really quick, I also want to say, for bills this magnitude, we should not leave it up to appointed or actual elected officials. We should leave it up to the general public. The same way you would vote for a president or a governor or mayor, put the bill on an app or something so we can vote for it too. I don't like that they're just the only ones who are voting for these acts and laws that will affect literally the entire country. The House Financial Services Committee approved the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act in 35-15 vote, which would establish rules for crypto firms on when to register with either the Commodity Futures Trading Commission or Securities and Exchange Commission. It's basically like this. If you're going to say we're decentralized, blah, 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 you're going to go to CFTC. They're going to label you as commodity. If you say we're not decentralized and you have any central point of failure, i.e. someone they can arrest, throw in jail, and fine, you're going to have to essentially register with the SEC. Boom. Is that really that much clarity? All it did was decide who gets to take your money. That is all it did. And here they are celebrating this bipartisan act that was passed. You need to also ask yourself at the same time, when we're giving a foreign country billions of dollars to fight, nothing to do with, and there's like a million other sideshows going on in the U.S., why would this bipartisan vote, why would this even be a headline? Really ask yourself that. It's because they are literally trying to take over the network, over these blockchains, and another attempt, since they couldn't do it the first time when they tried to essentially do SegWit and fork Bitcoin off back in that New York meeting in 2016 or whatever, 2017. So the Republican bill also outlines a process for firms to certify with the SEC that their budgets are adequately decentralized, allowing them to rent digital assets as digital commodities with the CFTC. And again, this is what's crazy about that. In no form do they say this is cash or a metric of value for the projects that want to actually be looked at that. They're saying you're either a security or you're a commodity, either or. Again, this is not good. It will continue to get more stringent now that the different teams know who they can control, essentially. The SEC knows who they can go after. CFTC knows they can go after. Yeah, some people are proud, blah, blah, blah. What was interesting to me is actually one of the comments about Maxine Waters. She's saying here, as I've said before, we don't need to invent new regulatory structures simply because crypto companies refuse to follow rules of the road. Our security laws have protected investors and retirees for 90 years while supporting capital formation and facilitating innovation, said Waters. I would love to actually debate this woman live. A couple things. Our security laws have not protected investors that long. I mean, Enron, anyone? Like literally Enron, Bernie Madoff, 2008 financial market collapse. You literally had regulatory agencies giving subprime loans to lenders who did not qualify, and then actually qualified them by giving them wrong letter grades. Like, this is how you've been protecting investors and retirees for 90 years. Knock it off, A. And then B, this is also someone's grandma who should be wise enough to know, and I know she knows. She's just, I mean, she's getting paid on the back end. She's in on it, right? She's in on the fix. But you're literally saying that rules that were made in the 20s should actually parallel new technologies of 100 years later, essentially. You're saying rules from 100 years ago should mimic new technology and be the rules for the new technology. Like, I'm not even going to waste my breath on talking about how ridiculous it is. So again, yeah, whatever. I guess it's good for regulatory clarity for the Brian Armstrongs of the world, because Coinbase, their goal is to make sure there's never another Coinbase in the United States or internationally, if possible. They don't want the competition. That's why he wants to get the clarity and the guys. He wants to knock off some of the comp. But for us who are still in the innovative stage, who are still building, creating, I am telling you, this is bad news bears. All they're going to do is, again, have mommy and daddy over either CFTC over something, commodities that they consider crypto commodities, or the SEC over the securities. And then they're just going to license you out, registration you out, fine you out. They're about to get their money, and they know how to do it now. Fuck them both, fuck them both, fuck them both. Peer-to-peer sounds like what it is, and decentralized is exactly what it is. You do not need to go through them in order to make these systems work. All right, I spent enough time on that one. This will be a long show. No, I only got a few minutes, so I'm about to headline the rest of these out. All right. EOS Foundation is in the news as they prepare to sue Block.one. For those who don't know, I mean, this was already like, again, told you so. People, like, for those who don't know what happened, let me just skip to it. First one, potential plaintiffs in the new lawsuit by ENF may need to opt out of other suits against Block.one to be eligible to participate. This is EOS Foundation to sue Block.one for alleged failure to honor a $1 billion commitment. For those who don't know what happened, essentially, I'm trying to get to it when it actually was launched. When EOS had their ICO, Block.one came out and said, hey, we're actually going to put $1 billion toward this network as well. Here it is. Block.one raised $4.1 billion over 12 months in the ICO back in 2018. The ICO became one of the largest crowdfunding rounds at the time. This is why the SEC and CFTC is here. They're saying the United States saying, ho, y'all got $4.1 billion from people all over the world. And I didn't even get a Christmas present. What buddy said? I got to get the soundboard up and working. What did he say on American Gangster? I didn't even get a Christmas card. You know what I mean? I see a guy in a $25,000 mink coat, and I can't even get a Christmas card. Nothing. You know, what's going on with that? Something's wrong with that. That's how Uncle Sam felt. Uncle Sam said, hey, you guys got $4.1 billion, and you didn't mention us. You didn't come tell us about this. You didn't give us a taste. We after the entire industry. But seriously, the reason why this was a no-brainer to me, and sorry, CB, Crypto Blood, we got to get him on the show. I know he's going to have insight into this because he was representing EOS Detroit. But the entire issue with EOS project to me is that you do not need $4.1 billion fucking dollars to do a project. You don't need $100 million to do a project. You only need $10 million to do a project. For this project, you needed about 5 to 7 million to get started in the right direction. You could have got money from there. In fact, let's go crazy. Fine, you start with 30 million. People, they got $4.1 billion for an ICO. Of course, there's no building going. To me personally, there's no building going on. There's no like money's going to be missing. All these things that are happening now are going to happen. It's going to be countersuits and lawsuits. You don't need. Listen, you give money to projects to build bigger projects. You don't give first timer groups together billions of dollars and say, now go build. No, you give them a limited amount of resources and you let them show proof of concept and build from there. And then once they're at certain levels, you release more funds and more money to them. Or you can do the thing where you get $4.1 billion and trust humans to give you that money when it's time for you to get it. And as we see, that did not and does not happen. They are not going to give you $1 billion. No, you're going to have to take them to court. Why? Why would I, like, from their point of view, why would Block.one give you $1 billion, $3 billion, or whatever, for you all to possibly build something when they can just keep the billions of dollars? There it is. Like, it didn't make sense to me from the beginning. So that's all I'm going to spin on that story. It did not make sense to me. It is what it is. I kind of saw this happening back then when I saw the price tag on the ICO, because my whole thing was like, Bitcoin didn't, people, they created Bitcoin for free, right? Even right now, it's people working on Bitcoin for free. Bitcoin never had a $4.1 billion pot of currency to go toward the development, to go toward these shows like this publicity. No, everybody's doing this shit for free. So you tell me you get $4.1 billion, a year goes by nothing. Another year goes by nothing. Another year goes by. Scam, calling y'all scam too. All right. Hope not. We got to get CB on here, Crypto Blood. I know he has more insight, but those are my thoughts. It doesn't take $4.1 billion to build any type of project in this space. And if you see that actually coming, you should know, like, run for the hills. It's a scam. And hey, speaking of it, Meta sinks $3.7 billion in metaverse money pit as CEO eyes threats user retention. If you remember a couple years ago when we were at the Bitcoin conference, the guy who worked on the executive team at Meta was basically like, hey, Mark Zuckerberg is ready to like go bankrupt on this. And he essentially, I don't know if he could quit or got fired, but he literally gave us the rundown of what was going on in the C-suite. It was to the point where like we didn't believe in some of the stuff. Like, you got to be kidding us, right? And then it was like last year or whatever when Meta rolled out, or Facebook turned to Meta, and then they rolled out the metaverse thing. It was like, oh, dude, this dude was telling the truth. And it looks as though he really was telling the truth. Meta is ready to go down with the ship. It looks like in the second quarter, they saw about $3.74 billion losses in this virtual reality business. Over the last year to now, they're looking at $31.9 billion of losses. Now, this is a little bit different than the EOS one. Why? Because they already have a working product. They're bringing in money from other places, and they actually have a billion subscribers, right? They got a billion plus community. So for them to spend $4 billion a quarter or whatever, now they're at $32 billion losses. Personally, I want to do with a company. There could be other ways to grow and develop and let someone else take those losses. But I get it. This is what happens when you're on the forefront and the edge of cutting edge technology. What I will say about this is that the metaverse will be real, people. I strongly still believe that. And I think if a CEO is willing to sink $32 billion into this project, then it has to be real. We have to be finding something at some point. So I would say one thing, Meta is definitely figuring out all the wrong ways to do it and what's not working. So hopefully with another, I don't know, 10 billion or so, they can figure out the right way and make this metaverse work. If it does work, I mean, hey, you could be looking at $1 trillion company if they're putting 32 billion on it. Or unfortunately, if it does work, you could be looking at a company worth pennies if it works and is not as exciting as everyone thinks it to be. So another company losing billions, but at least Meta is losing these billions trying to build. I don't know what the hell EOS is losing their billions on. Anybody in the comments, let me know where I might be getting that wrong at. All right, stories in the headline on this one. I thought this was pretty funny. If you saw, it was a UFO hearing already. United States government is accused of covering up extraterrestrial activity. But as the hearing was going on, crypto degens were crafting alien shitcoins. That is right. Since last night or yesterday, since the hearing, there has been 50 alien shitcoins that have popped up. I love this space. And this is why, regardless if you say CFTC or if you say SEC, as long as they're done decentralized, open source, and anonymous, you can't stop the rain when it starts to pour. Man, look, you can't stop nobody from making no cryptocurrency. It's over. It's too easy. But again, this was David Grush, a former Pentagon Task Force member on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and whistleblower, accused the U.S. government of covering up alien visitation to Earth. It was a July 26th hearing that went viral. And since then, over the last 24 hours, we have 50 new alien, UFO, or other extraterrestrial themed tokens to crop up. I wonder if one of the ones that was trending was one of them. So again, this is pretty cool, but I would say this. I thought this story was interesting because one trend we can rely on, a fundamental trend, is that if it goes viral or if it's a headline, I don't care what it is, they got a coin coming, people. So that's maybe something we need to start tracking every month, every year. Is there a Carly token out, or did we lose it already? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, that was right on time. I don't know how I do it off the top of my head. It's actually amazing. But my point is, there will be a token for every cool thing that pops up. Somebody check to see if it's like a Titanic submersible token. I don't know. That actually sounds good. Titanic submersible TST. Is it TST? See, we got TST out there. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Now over to the AI stuff. Shout out to Trek on the Spaces, Twitter Spaces they invited me to last week that I didn't even know how to operate for the most part. But we were on Twitter Spaces, and the topic essentially was like AI in Hollywood. What's going on? Will they actually use it after the strike? So on and so forth. But before we get to them, I want to talk about Binance. Binance launches AI-powered NFT generator for KYC verified users. It said it will provide 10 free chances for users to generate artwork every day. First, for Binance, I actually give them a shout out. This is a great volume play, great way to bring people to your actual exchange. I think we'll see other exchanges do things like this, fun things, whatever you can to get people to KYC. You remember now, you can't just be on the exchange anymore. This is only for KYC folks. So they're trying to get as many people to KYC as possible. That's like the new thing to show real volume almost. It's not really going to work with crypto OGs, but it will work with newbies. My bigger issue with this is kind of what Track and I were talking about in Spaces, and his partner in crime, my fault, can't think of your name on top of my head, but right now with the whole Hollywood strike and AI trying to be used, like to me, this kind of goes into it. And one of the big things the writers and actors and everybody are saying is, hey, if you use our likeness or our writing or anything in some AI, chat GPT, specifically writers, they say, hey, if you use my script and an AI powered bot that can create new scripts, you still have my script in there. So no matter what happens with whatever you create, I want a piece of it. Whether you use some of my words or not, my ideals are in this actual coding, the software. I say the same thing, this AI powered stuff. When they're talking about AI powered NFT generated stuff, all they're doing is putting in data points, putting in art and stuff from other different data points. Different NFTs are going into this thing, different data points, different code from other places that have already been created. So it will be interesting to see the legal side of this as it grows and develops to where it's like, all right, well, you have this AI powered NFT, but is it actually worth anything if we find out the generator that created it had images, I don't know, from like some popular painting or something. You see a piece of that painting in there. It's like, well, technically it's stolen. Like the AI didn't actually create it. It doesn't know how to speak. It's parroting. It's literally copycatting what we put into it. So I think that would be a very interesting thing to look at. Oh, I'm running out of time here. So last couple of people. Netflix eyes AI amid Hollywood strike, offers high-paying AI positions. I just want to shout out Track again, PFC Wills. You were absolutely correct. They pulled the McDonald's approach. He said what happens with McDonald's when the strike ended, but they still put in automated machines. And I agreed on Spaces. I thought that was going to happen in Hollywood. Regardless, we're going to go toward AI. Like we will always go toward technology. Humans will. It's going to happen. So it looks like it's going to happen. After this strike is over, whether we like it or not, there will be AI in Hollywood. There will be high-paying AI positions. And I actually want to shout out to Netflix. The government can learn. You remember when I was trying to talk the last couple of days about the price point of these positions? I think San Francisco had 135,000. Wisconsin's going 150,000. These are the price tag for these jobs, people. 450,000 to 650,000 for the technical director role, and 300,000 to 900,000 for the product manager position. You remember when I was talking about the product manager for the Wisconsin thing, and I was like, at least 190 because they want you to know PR and all this other stuff. I said 190 to 220 was a great starting rate. Some of y'all are in the chat like, what is this dude talking about? This is what I'm talking about. The real rate is $300,000 to $900,000 1 year for one person. That is the rate on these positions. So I just want to make sure if your eyes haven't opened yet to what we're talking about, get on the crypto train, get on the coding train, get on the AI train, get on the product manager train. Like I said, the government was offering 150K. That's low balling it. Netflix is saying we'll give you up to 900K. That doesn't even include stock and everything else. So again, I just want to point out that difference there. Huge difference, huge difference, huge difference. And last but not least, ended on a great news story. Robert Kennedy Jr. reveals buying 2 Bitcoin for each of his 7 children. The story is in the headlines. I actually saw some of his testimony the other day. They were like completely rude to this guy. Some of the people that were some of the congressional people, whatever politicians, regulators, they were completely rude to him. But this guy's on something. I also don't think he'll end up being president or anything. But the fact that he's in front of Congress, he's in front of Senate, and he's making headlines like this, like, you know, the United States dollar should be backed by Bitcoin, and I'm giving Bitcoin to all my 7 children. I think that's huge news. So shout out to Robert Kennedy Jr. And with that, I did go a little bit over already. I only meant to do 15 minutes. I got half that time track, so there we go. But other than that, folks, I got to run today. That's the show for today. Smash that like and share, and I'm going to see you all tomorrow with some more crypto news. Cheers.